Nearly 5 months after his emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as Nigeria's president, the Supreme Court has confirmed him as the rightful winner of the 2023 presidential elections, ending a long period of legal tussles. President Tinubu had emerged victorious after petitions were filed against his victory by the presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party. The two closest parties and candidates filed an appeal at the Supreme Court after fresh evidence emerged against the authenticity of the certificate the Nigerian president submitted to INEC. However, the 7-member panel of the Supreme Court ruled against the opposition's petitions of fraud and breaches of the electoral law and dismissed the appeal as lacking merit. Following the judgment, President Tinubu said his renewed hope agenda for Nigeria is now back on track and is unassailable. Now he has been confirmed by the highest court in the country. However, he faces further battles to reshape the country, one divided at its core and holding on to its last breath for economic survival. Before I bring in our distinguished guests and panelists, let's take the reaction of Mr. President following the announcement of his victory at the Supreme Court.
Concentrated on pulling Nigeria from the mood trap of depression, and we understand the sovereignty of the country. You don't need additional distraction to be able to concentrate on building a new economy for the people, an inclusive one for that matter. And the judgment of the Supreme Court put a stop to shenanigans, put a stop to innuendos, put a stop to lies or trial in the media and public place. The court has demonstrated in this visible commitment to rule of law and humanity, and their commitment to do justice for all Nigerians, regardless of ethnic, religious, or any other biases.
Now, joining us tonight in Politics HQ to make sense of this development is Demola Olanrewaju, Special Advisor, Digital Media Strategy to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, is here in our Lagos studio. We also have Yunusa Tanko, Chief Spokesman of Datti campaign organization, joining from Abuja. We also have Prince Kassim Afegbua, APC member, who's joining from the nation's capital, Abuja. One welcome to you all, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on this very special edition of Politics HQ.
Thank you very much, Gbenga. It's my pleasure to be here.
Now, I'd like to start with... Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you join us on the program, gentlemen. I'd like to start with Prince Kassim Afegbua. You just heard Mr. President reacting to the Supreme Court judgment. What do you make of, what's your reaction to today's Supreme Court judgment, and what are its implications for Nigeria's moving forward?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity of this discussion. The outcome of today's judgment was expected, because anybody who understands even elementary law will know that the PDP candidate and the Labour Party candidate were just fishing in political waters, carrying out an expedition, because the Court of Appeal, that is the Presidential Tribunal, had given a very sound, elaborate explanation why that petition was thrown away at the issue. So I think they were just wasting the time of the Supreme Court. If I were in the position of Supreme Court, I would impose a heavy fine on them for wasting the time of the court with frivolous appeals and saying grant of appeals. But I quite understand that lawyers always find electoral season as season for making money. So they want to fleece their clients, by telling them they have a case, they have a case. You can see The Supreme Court didn't waste time because these issues are very frivolous. On the point of law, not emotions. People may, breathe down our throat with their emotions and sentiments. But law does not pander to emotions and sentiments. Law pander to evidence and arguments that are beyond reasonable doubt when you are presenting any case before it. So I commend the Supreme Court for doing a good job.
Thank you very much, Prince Kassim Afegbua. I'd like to take Demola Olanrewaju's reaction, who is here with us in our Lagos studio. Now, Demola, the spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party, expressed disappointment at the judgment. What's your own reaction? What's the official position of your party, the People's Democratic Party? And do you have any reservations to today's Supreme Court judgment, which puts an end to all the talks of any legitimate president, or if is fit to be in office and all of that? How do you react to this?
Thank you, Gbenga. I think for me, there are two basic reactions. First of all is the effect that this will have on the polity going forward in terms of political contests. And then second is also the fact that all the gains of the previous years, all the gains of the electoral reforms carried out, seem to have been reversed today. And I'll start from the second. When we clamored for the amendment of the Electoral Act in 2022, which was done by the legislative arm, and which President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law, we thought that, it was the beginning of, was the movement from analog elections to digital elections. That was what we all celebrated. That was what we all hoped for. And that was what we all hinged our beliefs on going into this election. The Supreme Court today has said that that does not matter. That said that IREF does not matter. INEC might as well go ahead and even rubbish the beavers also, because clearly the Electoral Act says transmit the results from polling units to the IREF. But now they are saying that, that doesn't matter as long as you have the physical copies. So what has changed? Also, when one of the judges, when the lead judge, His Lordship Justice Iyan Gokoro, was delivering the judgment, he said that it is humanly impossible for a single person, as a state coalition officer, which was one of the witnesses that we presented, said that it is humanly impossible for that person to know what is going on in all the polling units in a digital world. He said that is humanly impossible. Yet, their lordships expected that, we would produce witnesses from all the over 176,000 polling units across the country in court. That is not even humanly possible. So for me, that has reversed it. But more importantly, Gbenga, I think, this sends a clear message into the polity. And I believe that Nigerian politicians are watching very clearly, because if there's one thing that the Nigerian politicians have proven, they are animals who are very good in adapting. And I say that with all respect. I mean, animals in terms of political animals. That's, that's one description of politics before, that we are all political animals. They are political animals that know how to adapt to any situation. What the Supreme Court has said today is to every Nigerian politician, go out there, do whatever it takes to win on the field, get yourself declared. That the hope of justice, and then tell your opponents, go to court, that the hope of justice on the substance of law may not be there for you. It will be technicalities. It will be more towards preserving the status quo or keeping intact the powers of INEC. So I think, that is established, and I worry for the impact, on the forthcoming elections.
Now, Demola, I will get to that, the forthcoming elections, as we progress with the program. You did mention your dissatisfaction with the ruling on IREF. Beyond that, are there any other issues on today's judgment which you feel that doesn't augur well with you?
Well, I think in not even considering the evidence that was assiduously sought for by Atiku Abubakar from the U.S. legal court system, in not even considering that evidence, I think the courts have not, they've not been fair to Nigerians, basically. I think they've not been fair to Nigerians. It should have been looked at. It should have been examined. The issue of forgery is there. It wasn't even examined.
But Demola, some political observers said, this could have happened pre-election. Why, at the timeline, why didn't the Atiku Abubakar camp present this evidence before the courts?
Because, well, there are various issues, attached to it. One of the reasons why the courts in the US granted this particular evidence, both the deposition and the documents that they brought, is the fact that Bola Tinubu is now a public servant. Okay, so it is difficult for you to, make such probes when someone is still a private citizen. But nevertheless, I think, anyone who's interested in justice should have at least considered that evidence of forgery against the president and, allowed that to stand. Let us even weigh it. Let us see it. But, that has not been resolved. I mean, in the clip you just showed, we showed President Bola Tinubu saying that, he put an end to innuendos. Unfortunately, that matter has not been properly looked at by the Supreme Court. So the innuendos are going to continue, the speculations are going to continue, and I'm not going to be surprised if concerned Nigerians in the days to come pick up that piece of judgment and begin to challenge his records afresh from the High Court.
Thank you very much, Demola. I'd like to bring in a third distinguished panelist on today's program, Mr. Tanko Yunusa. One welcome to you. Now, Mr. Yunusa,
thank you very much for having me.
Yes, let's get straight to it. We did see what played out today and the president's reaction. The Labour Party was one of those that challenged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's victory at the polls. What's your reaction? What's the official Labour Party position on today's judgment by the Supreme Court of Nigeria?
Well, the party has made itself very clear that he is not happy with the decision of the Supreme Court. But as a Democrat and as a political party, they will re-examine this particular point and move on as a political party. Moving on here means we have now resolved to bring this particular decision of the Supreme Court to the public domain as a citizens' court, meaning that it is now left for the people to make decisions on their own as regard to which pendulum would they move into. The Supreme Court just finally killed the last string that is remaining, the last people and the Supreme Court. It is very, very obvious that Nigerians have lost trust in our institution. The whole situation started with annihilating our security apparatus. The security apparatus, the police, and all of them are now under the twine of the presidency. We now have the institutional already. The INEC, of course, is already long gone. Now we now have the judiciary now already gone too. So there's an orchestrated way in which the state is being captured.
Now, Mr. Yunusa, Tanko, permit me to interrupt you here. I mean, members of the Nigerian Bar Association.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
We have point for us now.
We seem to be having some connection issues with Mr. Tanko Yunusa, but before I move to Prince Kassim Afegbua, I would just like to direct this question back to Demola. Following, I know you belong to different political parties, but looking at Nigeria, the task of nation building, Mr. President had said innuendos and all of that, and still in the same speech he said the time and the task of moving Nigeria forward begins now. What needs to be done to, bring about this, to amend these divisions, or is it going to be hard opposition for the next 4 years?
Well, I think what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will expect is that we would play our role as an opposition party and as an opposition force, and help him to move forward by that means. We would offer constructive criticisms, offer critical analysis of the ideas that he has, of which I'm firmly convinced that their party lacks what it takes to provide national unity for Nigeria, because it is a party that is sectional. It is a party where the idea is turn by turn, and so there's that sense, in Bola Tinubu's camp that it's now the turn of a certain ethnic group, and so that's why a lot of things are going the way they are going. So I think their party lacks, the ideas, lacks the courage to unite this country, lacks the political will also to unite this country. As per the economy, I think they also lack the ideas on that front. So I do not expect much from them in that regard. And, the last few months have also shown it. It has been worsening poverty for Nigerians. So I can say confidently that, as a political party, I expect that PDP will take a step back, reevaluate its own internal processes, enact discipline within the ranks and file of the party, and then come out as a stronger, opposition. But as regards the All Progressive Congress in power presently, I do not think that, they have it within their ranks either to deliver national unity or to deliver economic progress. Thank you,
Demola. We have Mr. Tanko Yunusa back online. Now, Mr. Yunusa, you said some things that might have been interpreted as a lack of faith in the Nigerian judiciary. Are you saying this out of substance, or you're saying this because your party did not emerge victorious in the ruling? What's your understanding? What's your assessment of the Nigerian judiciary? Because you said, a lot of people would have lost hope as a result of this judgment. On what basis did you make that comment?
No, I made that comment.
Okay, we hope to sort Mr. Tanko Yunusa's audio. It's very important we get his take on the judgment today. But in the meantime, Prince Kassim Afegbua, thanks for your patience. Now, back to you. President Bola Tinubu's response to the judgment highlights the importance of national unity. Prince, how do you foresee his administration addressing the divisions that may have emerged during this legal battle of the last 5 months? And how much of a distraction was it to the task of governing such a complex country like Nigeria?
Well, I think the point must be made very clearly that both Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar displayed credentials that presented them more as sore losers, not believing that they should behave like good sportsmen. In any electoral contest, you expect one winner to emerge. And by the time you leave the shores of the substance of what you are complaining about in terms of outcome of the election, and you are now fishing in other areas, looking for, traveling as far as from here to America, going to look for somebody's credential, would I even follow the procedure in line with law? It shows that it was good that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was confirmed, because I doubt the credentials of these two gentlemen who are Nigerians by all intents and purposes.
Why do you say that, Prince Kassim Afegbua?
The point must be made that you complain that the elections were rigged ab initio. When you were filing your grant of appeal, we were not seeing that. You didn't provide evidence to show. The young man who spoke, Demola, who spoke for the PDP, was saying that the Supreme Court said it was not necessary to have IRS. No. They said in the absence of IRS, there was still collation of results, which were declared by INEC, that was enough. You cannot say because IRS
I believe we lost Prince Kassim Afegbua. We'll have him back. But
malfunction,
okay.
Or there were glitches because of...
Yeah, go ahead, Prince Kassim Afegbua. We can hear you. Yes, go ahead, please. Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, you cannot say you cannot say because IRF was malfunctioning, so because of that, collation of results at the polling units done by every party, done by INEC, and we, political parties, agents, given copies. You couldn't table all of that. I say it was humanly impossible for you to present 176,000 polling agents. How is that impossible? You see, the point is, if you are making allegation in electoral litigations, you have to prove them beyond reasonable doubt. The onus of proof is on you making the allegations. Well, the judgment has come and gone.
Okay, thank you, Prince Kassim, for your submission. I'd like to bring Demola back into the conversation. Now, the spotlight is also on INEC, the electoral umpire. Now, Demola, the role of INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, in this case, is very significant. They conducted the elections, and we've seen the litany of litigations, not just on the presidential level, across all boards, senatorial and gubernatorial elections. How does this ruling, Demola, impact the public's confidence in INEC's ability as an umpire to conduct free and fair elections in Nigeria?
Thank you, Gbenga. I'd just like to respond or to comment on what Prince Kassim Afegbua said, the kind of, that there must be a winner and the kind of, the manner in which Atiku Abubakar conducted himself. I think, the template for virulent opposition in this country was laid by the man who Prince Kassim Afegbua now speaks for. That's who laid the template for virulent and...
what evidence do you have to back that assertion?
Look, it is the same political party, Action Congress of Nigeria, when the Goodluck Jonathan government declared the Boko Haram as when it was pushing to get declared as a foreign terror organization, Lai Mohammed issued a statement and sympathized with Boko Haram. Okay, it is the same political party that when a PDP governor was sick, and on his dying bed, they were clamoring for his impeachment. Now they have a governor in one of the southwestern states who is ill, who has not been in office, who is trying to impeach his deputy. PDP has not told that part. In fact, in Nigeria today, one of the criticisms that people bring against PDP is that PDP is not doing its opposition role the way that APC did it, or that Atiku Abubakar is not conducting himself in the manner that the people that the respected Prince Kassim Afegbua speaks for would have conducted themselves. We know how they would have set this country on fire, when they were pushing cases. We saw them push cases in 2003, in 2007, in 2011, in all those years. We saw the kind of template they laid. As regards INEC, I think, all politicians have to now mount pressure on INEC, because it is clear from what the courts have said that INEC can change its own rules at the middle of the game. In other words, INEC produced a manual and a regulation and said that this is how we are going to conduct the election. We are going to transmit the results. We are going to upload to the IRF. We are going to use beavers to do this and that. Nobody, no politician should believe INEC from henceforth, especially opposition parties. We should continue to put pressure on INEC because INEC has, and even voters would take INEC to task on election day. The monitoring for votes has to continue and it has to be even enhanced. So INEC, as far as I'm concerned, has been given a carte blanche by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has basically said that INEC can set the rules before the game begins. But if somehow, because we are here talking about the Supreme Court,
Demola, if I may come in here, apologies for interrupting you, because earlier during the program you did say constructive criticism from the People's Democratic Party. Now, looking at the electoral umpire, you seem to have quite a number of issues with INEC. How we have some off-cycle elections coming up in less than 30 days. Looking forward, what specific issues do you have with INEC, and what areas would you want them to improve on?
Well, I think, first of all, what I'm saying is that I personally, from this judgment, I cannot trust INEC to conduct elections. We just have to accept that elections under INEC now may not be a reflection of the wish of the people. Because,
but we don't have an alternative.
Well, I mean, yes, we do not have an alternative, but what we have to do is to take everything INEC says with a pinch of salt, because INEC essentially walked back everything he said before the election. 2 days before the election, before the last election, which we just challenged, INEC was everywhere saying that, there are rumors that they would abandon IRF, that no, they have no intention of abandoning IRF, that they will be transmitting results directly from the polling unit. The same INEC did not transmit results. And curiously, the glitch that happened only affected the presidential elections. In other words, legislative elections for 109 senators, for 360 House of Rep members, all those results were transmitted duly. But when it came to the presidential elections, there was a glitch that happened. There was a glitch that happened. So it is clear, INEC can sabotage any election that they want to sabotage. The law that was amended in order to bring transparency to the election has effectively been jettisoned by this decision of the Supreme Court. And so politicians should, it is now a situation of, it is back to the trenches, as it were. Politicians have to monitor INEC back to back. Voters have to monitor INEC back to back. Nobody should sit and trust what INEC says, people have to ensure that their votes count.
Thank you very much, Demola. It's unfortunate that we don't have an INEC representative on the panel, and I don't hold. We reached out, but we couldn't get a positive response. Now, I hope we have connection with Mr. Yunusa Tanko. I know you have quite a lot to say, and in your opening statement, you didn't seem satisfied with the Nigerian judiciary. Now, Mr. Tanko Yunusa, the integrity of the Nigerian judiciary has been a topic of debate. Could you discuss how this judgment either reinforces or challenges public perceptions of the judiciary's independence and effectiveness?
I know my friend Kassim Afegbua there is a cerebral person, very intelligent, but I can see he's finding it difficult and struggling in order to defend the indefensible. Let me quote Olisa Agbakoba, who said that at a point in history of Nigeria today, many intellectuals are reconsidering whether the Supreme Court will be the last adjudication on matters of national interest. They are thinking probably there must be a kind of a thinking that probably we should take it to the National Assembly or somewhere else, because that means the trust has already been eroded. And here is what I said. In the Petition Election Commission tribunal, we got a certified true copy. A certified true copy from INEC. We didn't go and bring it. We bought certified true copy of 8,800 and something documents to prove that the election was marked with irregularities. Guess what? This is exactly what the petition, the court said. That the Labour Party went and manipulated a true certified true copy, where there are only pictures of people, no results. And you're telling me that probably will not prove our case beyond reasonable doubt? Secondly, we also brought in reporters from Channels Television, bringing in their report, physical report of what happened in annihilation of a tribe in this country, knowing fully well that the people who were in government as at that time were APC. And so they completely annihilated all ways in which we can get evidence. It is all of evidence in what the president did by stopping Atiku Abubakar from obtaining his results from CSU. If you are honest and you are truthful in what you believe in, why would you go to the length of stopping that particular university that you say you went to? You cannot allow them to publish your results? Come on. And let me also add, as we stand today, it is proved beyond reasonable doubt to the public court that our president cannot present his primary school certificate to the public. He cannot present his secondary school certificate to the public. Then he has a questionable certificate of the university he said he served. Even as at that, he did not serve the Federal Republic of Nigeria. These are common openly to the Nigerian people. And then you want them to believe in this particular Supreme Court judgment or the case that was submitted by the petition court? No, they can only go with the result of what the Supreme Court has said, Democrat, and keep quiet. But that does not mean that a citizen cannot challenge this particular situation. The danger in which this particular judgment has put us to is legitimizing illegality. For 24 years, this same person has been using this strategy to manipulate and deny the people of their rightful fact.
Now, staying with you, Mr. Yunusa Tanko, the judgment has been passed. Yes. The Supreme Court's decision is now final. Nigeria has a myriad of problems. And Mr. President said the task of moving Nigeria forward is a collective effort. Are you willing, or is your party willing to accept an invitation, if it's done, an olive branch, to work collectively to move this country forward? Because the Supreme Court's decision is final. There's no higher court to go to. What's the next step for your party, the Labour Party? How do you intend to contribute to nation building?
For the party, the National Working Committee and the chairman will make their pronouncement, which they did. And I'm sure you understand their line of argument. And our presidential candidate, Peter Gregory and Datti will make an official statement on how they think. But for me, Yunusa Tanko, I will work in the part of the opposition to add value to the system, but not work in the government in which I am already challenging. And I'll continue to challenge because they are already an illegitimate government, even though they have been pronounced by the court to legitimizing the illegality. But me, I will not, because we are sending the wrong signal to our unborn children that it is not important for you to go to school anymore.
Now, Mr. Tanko, these are very serious statements you're making, Mr. Tanko. Are you making them in your own personal capacity, or is that the official position of the Labour Party?
No, I said me, Yunusa Tanko, will oppose in that particular line and adding value to the system. But I will not work in a government that I've already spoken and challenged for not doing the right thing. And then we are already saying that school doesn't matter. That is for me.
Okay, a fine place to... Thank you for your submission, Mr. Tanko. A fine place to go on a break. If you're just joining us, this is Politics HQ on News Central Television, and we're looking at today's Supreme Court judgment that dismissed Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's case and OB's appeals and affirmed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu election victory. We still have with us on Politics HQ, we have Mr. Tanko Yunusa, Demola, Olanrewaju, and also Prince Kassim Afegbua of the All Progressive Congress. We'll be right back after this quick timeout. To stay with us. You're welcome back to Politics HQ and News Central Television. We still have in the studio Demola Olanrewaju, a special advisor, digital media strategy to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate. We also have Yunusa Tanko, chief spokesperson of Datti presidential campaign of the Labour Party, and Prince Kassim Afegbua, an APC member. Thanks for staying with us on the program, gentlemen. Now I'd like to bring back Prince Kassim Afegbua into the conversation. Now, Prince, given the political polarization surrounding this case, I mean, you've seen the posts on social media, you've been following commentary on media. It's almost like we're still in campaign season of the elections. It's been a highly polarized and heated debate surrounding this. What are the potential implications for national unity and political stability in Nigeria? And what's your advice to Mr. President? How can these issues be addressed so that we collectively work towards moving the country forward? Because if we continue on this trajectory, the next elections will be, I don't even want to say what will be expected. What's your reaction, Prince?
Well, you almost turned me to a spectator, listening to all these gentlemen, my friend Tanko and Demola, in the last 15 minutes. So I was almost going to leave your studio because there are responses that I should have given my own thoughts.
You have the floor now.
You ask them 30 questions. You only speak to me once, and you just abandon me. Well, let me tell Tanko, nobody is going to invite him to come and participate in government. Let him play opposition. He was born into opposition. He will remain in opposition, and that is also good for democracy because you need opposition is an integral part of the democratic process. You need people who will be adding the alternative voice, and from there we can gain useful insight into how we govern government and how we govern Nigerians, and how we also generate initiatives that will help to respond to the challenges confronting us as a nation. That is one. Secondly, what about polarization? I think the problem of the Labour Party essentially is the fact that they lack administrative acumen to organize itself properly before the election. They were supposed to submit 176,464 polling agents. With all the noise they were making on social media, they could, when into election, they were lacking. They had about 40,000 polling agents that they didn't supply to the INEC. And yet, they were shouting about IRF. The APC, from the polling unit, they collected all their results. They have the results. We already knew that we had won the election on Sunday, even before the Wednesday announcement, because we have our polling agents who came with copies of what transpired at the polling unit. That is the point of primary voting. That is your primary data. The issue of IRF and all of this, we knew what they wanted to do with IRF. We knew we're in the system, what Atiku wanted to do, training, all manners of hackers here and there. We don't want to go into those details. But the Supreme Court has given verdict on point of law, not on the sentiments of Tanko or on the emotions of Demola. On point of law, they couldn't argue their case, they couldn't present their case very well. So whether they like it or not, President Tinubu has been given a mandate of 4 years that will terminate 2027, and he will seek a re-election, God granting him good health. And I know he will win because he's out to deliver on his mandate. You know, the Renew Hope agenda is here to stay. We're going to rally around the entire country. We have challenges confronting us. He alone cannot do it. He needs all of us. But those who attacked the process, those who ran down the process, even when they knew that they didn't win an election, they were claiming that they won the election. We are not. I personally don't want to advise the president to even invite them to the table for governance.
Prince Kassim, if I may come in here, please.
Yes?
Prince Kassim Afegbua, are you not contradicting yourself? You said, you know, Mr. President cannot do it alone, and can the APC be magnanimous in its victory?
No, I'm not saying you should invite opposition. Opposition they don't believe in him.
Yeah, but
they will sabotage it.
The opposition might have some brilliant ideas.
Because there are economic predators and buccaneers in their midst. We don't want them. There are over 200 million Nigerians. Labour Party and PDP members do not represent the entire Nigeria. When they speak about Nigeria, President Tinubu got majority votes in this last election.
What about
talking about Nigeria? I wonder whether we are not Nigerians. When they keep talking about Nigerians.
Okay.
So for me, this last election, I stand to be contradicted. This last election was the best election that INEC has ever conducted in this country.
Thank you very
much. Lost senatorial contest.
Thank you very much, Prince Kassim Afegbua. I would like Demola to react.
I think those of us who are in politics,
gentlemen, I know emotions.
No, you made an allegation against Atiku Abubakar. You mentioned hackers just now. You made an allegation, which you know, some of us thought that that is no longer the style of politics that you engage in, throwing these allegations, but that are unsubstantiated. But we understand. Those of us who are in politics understand quite clearly that, some people have to go into the media space and try to show APC that they are good, with this thing to kind of, advertise and audition for positions and so on and so forth. We understand that dilemma. This question of we understand that dilemma because just a few months back, you were on another political pathway. But look, I think to be more serious, it's time for nation
gentlemen,
building.
I have to jump in at this point. We're not. I mean, we're trying to engage in a conversation, and please, would you allow me to do my job as the moderator here? I know emotions are high. You will all get your chance to react. Now, Demola, my question to you is this: Prince Kassim Afegbua has made some comments. He said, opposition could be sabotage and political buccaneers and what have you. Just paraphrasing. Now, Demola, moving forward, now that the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement, what's the strategy for your party, the People's Democratic Party, knowing, judging by what Prince Kassim Afegbua said, that, this is not, we're not going to be so magnanimous to give you positions in government. And we know how politics works in Nigeria. Now that the issue has been laid to bear and the Supreme Court has given a final judgment, we're going to see many people cross-carpeting, decamping to the ruling party. People want to be with the winning team. What's the strategy for People's Democratic Party, your party, as a viable opposition, and how will they respond to this in order to, provide a better alternative for Nigerians?
Well, for me, I think the People's Democratic Party needs to instill discipline within its ranks. That's the most important thing at this point. Instill discipline. Those who worked against the party for whatever reason should be removed from the political party. But what Prince Kassim Afegbua said about positions being in government, PDP was in government for 16 years. I mean, Prince Kassim Afegbua would know he was part of the PDP system for some of those years also before he moved to the APC that is now talking about we. But I think, what Labour Party has shown us very clearly, either PDP or APC, is that Nigerians are clamoring for a new kind of politics. And it shouldn't be just about positions. I'm surprised that anyone who's representing the APC is talking about, oh, you want to be magnanimous of positions. Nobody's looking for positions anymore. We are talking about a new Nigeria where, and that message, for the fact that that message resonated with a lot of young Nigerians, I think that the old guard, as represented by those in the APC, should take that message to heart and understand it's not just about, oh, looking at someone, this person is a critic, and then inviting the person to come and take this position or take that position. You cannot provide positions for all Nigerians. What is better to do is to fix Nigeria and let people thrive, whether they are in government or not. So the question of, them being magnanimous, I don't think that comes up. But I think, the People's Democratic Party, like I said, needs to instill discipline within its ranks, disciplinary members, and then, bring an atmosphere of unity within the party, and then take up its role as the major opposition party in this country. Because whether we like it or not, the People's Democratic Party, with the number of governors that it has, and with the fact that it is the only political party that is able to challenge the APC in the field. 3 states elections are coming up. I think PDP is going to win at least 2 of those states. It's the only political party that can confront APC. Of course, we expect that Labour Party would also still be there, if not as a party, or perhaps as the OB movement or whatever it is, But of course, we also know that there's a difference between politics and activism. So we expect that they will do the activist part, we will do the political part, but the opposition must be united. Because again, like I mentioned, Prince Kassim Afegbua's maths must be very faulty because he said Tinubu won majority of votes. No, he had the highest margin, he had the highest percentage, but his percentage was less than 50%, in fact, less than 40%.
But the Supreme Court has declared him...
yes, I mean, it was the majority, but
I
the
guess
votes he
that
won.
But quickly, because
the opponent
Demola,
had
we're running
higher
out of
percentage of
time
votes
on this program. Now, quickly, before I bring in Mr. Tanko Yunusa to wrap up the program, you did mention something quite instructive. You talked about the PDP as an opposition party. Some of the ways it could be more effective is instilling discipline. And let's talk about the issues that happened before the elections. There was a PDP member who was actively working against the party, and he's emerged as the federal minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Today I'm talking about Chief Nyesom Wike. What do you have to say about that? And when you talk about instilling discipline, do you mean, are you referring to some of those things that Mr. Wike must have done to sabotage the interest of the party? Well,
to be fair, Gbenga, I mean, I'm not here to, name call or to join issues with anyone. But I think, in the last election, from the period of last year, 3 tactics or 3 political templates have been laid in this country. Number 1 is the tactic of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which is go out into the field, win elections at all costs, get yourself declared, and you will be fine. The second, is the Peter Obi tactic, which is, you pull out from the major opposition party, you form your own political bloc based on popularity, and then you win a larger share of the votes. And the third is the Wike tactic, which is you don't even pull out from the major opposition party, you stay within, you cause havoc within, and you get rewarded by the other party that wins. I think those 3 political templates, for me, in politics, a lot of young politicians are looking at it, and those things might be here with us to stay. But I think that, PDP cannot do anything about the Bola Tinubu tactic, can't do anything about the Peter Obi tactic. But as far as Nyesom Wike wants to claim that he is a member of the People's Democratic Party, then the party should be bold enough to declare whether they want to be in government with APC or they want to be part of the opposition.
We have a few minutes left, and I'd like Mr. Yunusa Tanko to have the last say. If you can, in 2 minutes, I would really appreciate. And I think we should have a part 2 of this conversation. Mr. Tanko Yunusa, lastly, how do you envision this ruling affecting the public's trust in the Nigerian electoral system, and what measures can be taken to rebuild or reinforce that trust going forward?
No, it will take a very strong conviction for the people to trust the electoral process at all completely. They have lost trust. Oh, and let me remember, I remember now, Kassim should remember that both of you, all of you were at a particular point in opposition. So opposition can also win election in the future. So while we remain in opposition, we are only trying to put the people alight so that we can win legitimate election, not illegitimate one. And then in this regard now, we have a situation on ground where the people have lost so much trust. And so the next election that you see a lot of voters' apathy because people don't trust the system anymore. So it takes a lot of conviction by the political party, including the candidate, to be able to win, to bring people out to contest, to win election. Remember, the last election of the presidential election was won by 6 million combined to about 25 or 28. That represents only 25% of the total registered voters in Nigeria, which is 93 million. That, of course, will tell you that we have a president who has won election with almost just 10%. Almost 10% of the vote of the total population, and that is not good enough.
I mean, the implication of this is that he has a lot of work cut out for him when it comes to building national unity. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Demola Olanrewaju, Special Advisor, Digital Media Strategy to Atiku Abubakar. And also, I'd like to say thank you to Yunusa Tanko, Chief Spokesperson, Datti Presidential Campaign, and of course, Prince Kassim Afegbua, an APC member. It was a pleasure speaking to you, gentlemen. Thanks for your insight and contribution to the program. And this is where we draw the curtains on today's program. I am Gbenga Aborowa. See you next time on Politics HQ. Bye-bye.